Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to Stylist Meets Vinyl. My name is Chris. Guys, I want to do something fun today with records. And now in the vinyl community, or the VC as we like to call it, there often is a thing called vinyl tag, where someone will create a series of questions and people can answer the video and answer those questions with records. Whatever their answer is to that, they show a record. I think it's pretty fun. I've hopped in on some of these in the past, and I kind of wanted to throw my hat into the ring here and create my own and see maybe if it catches on. So I have created what I am calling If I Produced That Record vinyl tag. The idea is you're a record producer. You have full control over these records. You can make changes to them based on these questions here. You're totally omnipotent. You have full control. The band gets no say. It's all about you. So here we go. Let's get into it. So number one, a song that doesn't open an album but should. So whatever you think this song should be the opening track on an album, but it's not. Now the album I'm going to choose is Boston, self-titled Boston. The opening song on this album is More Than a Feeling, and it's hard to argue against that being a great opening track, because it is. But if I produce this record, and every time I listen to this record, I always feel that track 3, Foreplay Long Time, maybe is better suited to open this album. I just think it's kind of, Foreplay starts off pretty slow. There's a bit of organ in there, and then the drums and the guitar kicks in and it gets a bit louder. Then it goes into Long Time. So if I produce this record, I would kind of flip those two tracks, or maybe I would put Foreplay Long Time first, then More Than a Feeling, and then finish it off with Peace of Mind. So that's question number one. Okay, question number two, a song that isn't a single but should be. You have the power to release a single off of an album. Which song would you choose? I feel a lot of times with even bands that I love, there's radio hits that I like, they're not my favorite from that artist or from that album. I often feel that there's deeper cuts that could be better suited or that I like better. So clearly there's hundreds of songs that I could have chosen, but the song that I went with was the song Stargazer off of Rainbow Rising. This is Ronnie James Dio and Richie Blackmore, who was formerly in Deep Purple. As I said, the song is Stargazer, which opens track 2. I love that track. It's so good. There's a nice little key change in that album, in that song as well. And of course, Ronnie James Dio is just blaring the pipes, which is the way that we like it. And yeah, if I produced this record, the single that I would release would be Stargazer off of Rainbow Rising. Now, if you don't know what singles were on which albums, you can Wikipedia them on the page for the album. There's always a list of what the singles were there. So, question number 3, record artwork that you would send back to the designer for a redo. Now, my first thought was this album here, which is Still Alive and Well by Johnny Winter. I love this album cover, and anyone that I've ever shown this to has always been like, what is going on this cover? Like, why would they choose that picture? But actually, I think it's perfect because the album is called Still Alive and Well. I think it's a little tongue-in-cheek that this is Johnny Winter, baby. This is what he looks like. This is how he does it. And so I'm actually not choosing this album, but I am choosing Foreigner's Head Games. Now, this album cover has always perplexed me. I'm not really sure what's going on here. I don't know if this girl is peeing in this urinal. It actually looks like she's got some toilet paper here and she's like rubbing some graffiti off of the stall wall here, which makes a little bit of sense, but I don't know what the tie-in is with the title of this album, Head Games. I'm not really sure. And also, she's like sitting right in this urinal, which anyone who's been in a men's urinal, I do not recommend that. So if I produce this record, I would send this artwork back to the designer to redo it. That is my choice. Now, next, a song you would extend to make longer. So I will choose off of the Raconteurs' third album. This is Help Us Stranger. There is a track on here that is called, oh shoot, what is it? Oh, Born and Raised. I misspoke here. I said the wrong song title. It's not Born and Raised. The song is called Help Me Stranger. So anytime I say Born and Raised, I mean Help Me Stranger. Thanks. It was a radio single, so you might be familiar with it. This is an album from 2019. Now, anybody who, if you're familiar with that song, at the end of that song, the song kind of finishes, and then they do a little bit of an instrumental for just a couple of bars, and then it ends. But the first time that I heard that song, I thought they were going to go into something like at the end of Can't You Hear Me Knocking by the Stones. The song ends, and then they do like a minute and a half where the band is jamming out, and they extend, and they make this like a whole new song at the end. That's what I was expecting when I first heard this song, and now I can't get that out of my head, that every time I hear it, I just feel like I want that, you know? So if I could extend, if I produced this record, I would extend Born and Raised to be a little bit longer to give us that instrumental jam at the end. Okay. Question number 5. A song you would cut to make shorter. Now, I might get a little bit of flack for this. This is one of my favorite bands. But on the album Metal by Pink Floyd, there is a track, side 2, called Echoes, which is a fantastic song. I love that song. However, anyone who knows that song will know that there is a little bit, a part of that song right in the middle where it gets, I call it the screamy bits, even though I'm pretty sure it's all done through instruments. But it sounds like screaming, and it gets really dark and sinister. And I'm not saying I don't like that, and I wouldn't cut that out completely. However, if you pay attention, those screamy bits last for about 4 minutes, and then there's like an intro and then an outro to the screamy bits before they get back to the music. All in all, it's about 8 minutes taken off of the track. If I produce this record, I would just cut those screamy bits a little bit, just a little bit, and maybe make the instrumental part, or like the essence, the beginning and the end of this track, like a little bit longer in replacement of that. That's just me. If I produce this record, that's what I would do. Okay, question number 6. A double album you would condense into a single album. Now, there's a lot of choices here, and I thought about a few different albums, but in the end, I went with, yes, Tales from Topographic Oceans. This is the album after Close to the Edge. This is, I think, 1973. It is a double album. It's one of these albums that, like, there's only 4 tracks. Track 1 on side 1, 2 on side 2, and so on and so forth till side 4. I love side 1 on this album. I think it's great. Side 2, 3, and 4, I personally think you could just kind of condense that into like another really awesome side and just keep it at a double album. Or keep it at a single album, I should say. Just 2 sides, that's it. Interestingly enough, the keyboardist for Yes, Rick Wakeman, actually left the band as a result of this album because he thought it was too bloated, and he thought they were just kind of messing around too much. And so, you know, I kind of echo his thoughts here. So if I produced this record, I would condense Tales from Topographic Oceans into 1 album, and it would be so good. So good. Okay. Question number 7, a record you would retitle and just give it a new name. Now, this one is weird to me. So, the album is Mona Bone Jack On by Cat Stevens. This is also a contender for album artwork that I would send back. I'm not sure what's going on here. This is like a garbage pail, like like milk jug or something. I don't know. I don't know what's going on here. But the name Mona Bone Jack On, what is that? It doesn't make sense to me. I don't think it's a good name for an album. And I would, if I produce this record, I would say, Cat, baby, you gotta call it something else. Actually, tidbit about this album, I've heard that Mona Bone Jack On is the name, is what Cat Stevens, his name for his penis. There you go. So he has a whole album named after his penis. But Kat, it's gotta go. Give me a new title. Okay, last question. Question number 8. A song that doesn't end an album that should. Okay, this one here I am choosing from Appetite for Destruction from Guns N' Roses. I am choosing the song Sweet Child of Mine. When I first got this album, I can't tell you how many times after. So Sweet Child of Mine is on side 2. It's only track 3 on side 2, but I can't tell you how many times I listened to this album. Sweet Child of Mine ends, and I get up to go switch the album, and then You're Crazy starts. And oh yeah, and I gotta go sit back down again, and then it ends with Rocket Queen, which is a fine ending. But personally, if I produce this record, I would put Sweet Child of Mine at the end. I personally believe that you should really end your albums with a bang. Give me a really good track to end the album to make the listener just want more and want to, you know, eagerly anticipate the next album from this band. So if I produce this record, I would make Sweet Child of Mine the closing track. Okay, that's it. 8 questions for If I Produce That Record vinyl tag. If anybody feels like chiming in with their own thoughts and their answers to this question, I would highly encourage that. Either way, it's been a lot of fun just to share these with you. And thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like this video, consider subscribing, and whatever you do, make sure you come right back here where Stylus meets vinyl. Thanks a lot. See ya.